everybody. Welcome back. This is F330 YouTube session number 7. This is for Wednesday, April 15. Hope everyone is still thriving, surviving, doing well in isolation, waiting out the virus. Okay, well, let me get started with the usual kind of, let's get some things straight here. Let's talk about the final original research project. On Monday, I sent out the new guidelines, and the content features are the same. That's pretty much unchanged, but there are a couple of changes that I want you to note. In particular, the due dates. I've established some due dates, some definitive due dates that take into account the altered circumstances of our class. So the presentation will be due as of Friday, May 1 by midnight. Friday, May 1, I want to have your presentations. We're going to talk a little more about the formatting of those in a minute. And then the other due date is Wednesday, May 6 for your final papers. That's because they're asking us to get our grades in pretty quickly, so I need to have those final papers by Wednesday, May 6th at the end of the day. So those are the due dates that you need to keep in mind, coming up in a couple of weeks or a little longer for the paper. Now the presentations, this is an interesting twist. I'm thinking, of course, we've been talking about having PowerPoint presentations, and that's pretty straightforward, I think. But it occurs to me that you could record your presentation. You could actually perform your presentation and record it and send me that video. I think it works on Canvas. I found a video on my computer and tried it, and it uploaded it. It's a little bit slow. No, but for a 5-minute video, and that you have 5 minutes for your presentations, it can be done. Maybe it'd take 10 minutes to upload or something like that. So that's a kind of a fun idea, and you all are clever with some of these things. You might be able to produce your own presentation, and so those are two ideas right now. Let me know if you have any thoughts about them, if there's anything impractical about either of these plans. But for the moment, the presentations coming in on Friday, May 1 will be done either as a PowerPoint presentation that you could have used in class had we gone that way, or actual performance of your presentation, which you can document on video and then upload to Canvas. Another thing I want to say about those is I had mentioned that you have an audience of 1, but why should it be an audience of 1? Why don't I make those available to everybody? I think you will all enjoy seeing the research that each of you is doing. So that's the current thinking. As I say, if you have thoughts of your own about this, suggestions, hesitations, concerns, anything like that, let me know, and we'll get this sorted out, and it'll be all very clear by the time the due date arrives. I enjoyed your treasure hunt number 5, your treasure hunts. It was interesting to see what people chose. So for example, I have a few statistics to share. The largest group of you chose one or another of the Mongolian videos that I had suggested from the Jennifer Post material. But second and tied for second place were Haiti, and then Woody Guthrie, the Roland Columbia. In Haiti, it was the performance of the Makandal troupe in Brooklyn. And then there were 3 of you. There was a smaller group who picked one of the videos from the Arctic that Chie had written about. And only one chose the Azores. And I'm surprised more people didn't do Bois de Mar, which I think is really beautiful. Isabel, I'm with you on this one. But I like Portuguese. I like that sort of fado, that sound that I associate with Portuguese music. Okay, now in terms of the videos that you all found, they were really interesting. Someone went to Kenya, someone went to India. Some of you found videos that related more closely to the particular places that we had been reading about. But I really enjoyed them a lot. I'll share some of these with you. I think it'd be worth you all having a chance to see what people came up with for the treasure hunt. So that's good. I got that back to you with some comments. Thought piece number 10 is coming, and in this I'm going to be asking you to meditate on performing interventions, our topic for week 12, and to connect the Barker and the Petalty readings. So that will be coming your way very soon. Also, I have a resource sheet just about ready to go for the Barker and Petalty readings. These are kind of cool resources because you can find alligators in one case, and in the other, I want you to look for the singing, dancing fish. Okay, so that's on the resource sheet coming your way soon for this performing interventions segment of the class. Those are the administrative pieces. Let's get to the content now. I want to share with you a few thoughts on Petalty, some things that, if we were in the classroom together, these are the kinds of things I would develop in a little more detail. But we see with Petalty that he wants to use expressive culture as an instrument of contestation. So he's very clear about it. It's not folklore for folklore's sake. This is folklore in the cause of making something happen. So folklore becomes an instrument of contestation. That's interesting, I think. There's semiotics going on in here. You'll see the word semiotics a few times, and semiotics, we talked about it a little bit. Remember when we did the thing about symbols and how you can have an icon which actually looks like the thing that it represents, and so forth. So we did a little bit of semiotics, what seems like a long time ago, back probably in January and February. But in any case, we get another taste of it with the Petalty piece, where he's looking at the sign, and the sign is just a communicative vehicle that allows people to exchange meaning with each other, right? And he's looking at the rhetoric and also some rituals, and also how a single phenomenon in the world can be understood in different ways. So the sound of the growler jet can be the sound of freedom, or it can be perceived as noise pollution. So that's an interesting kind of analytical framework that, a conceptual framework that Petalty develops. You can see that he portrays himself and he delivers himself as the activist, engaged scholar. So we get an interesting portrait there of his applied project where he and his band, they create this song called Loud, appropriately, and he gives it to us in capital letters so we know that it's loud. And in the resource page, you can go to a site where you'll hear that song, and also a music video that they put together with several singers looking out over the bay and so forth. So those are really pretty neat. And then his outfit that he works with, EcoSong, they have several other videos they did, and that's one of them is where you can look for the singing, dancing fish. I just want to highlight one thing in there because we talk about texture and then sometimes it's a little hard to tease out what we're really getting at. But in that segment of his article where he says, well, we wanted to do rock and roll, but then we wanted to kind of tone it down, not to be, take the punk out of a little bit and at the points where the message has to come through. Those are textural questions. Those are questions of how to style the art so that it will have its maximum effect. And that brings up another thing that's going on with Petalty that also interests me. And you know this from reading my article a few weeks ago. Well, it might have been a month ago now. But anyway, efficacy. How do we assess the effectiveness of an act of communication? And in Petalty's case, he feels like the song and the various projects they did regarding the sonic boom and all of that, the noise of the growler jets in the Bay Area out there off the state of Washington. He feels that the main accomplishment is to kind of rally the troops, to create a kind of mood of solidarity and excitement among people who were pursuing this cause of trying to get the Navy to, restrict the flights and to cut back on that sort of sonic pollution or contamination that was going on. He raises the possibility that using folklore as an instrument in contestation, that you could also reach new audiences and you could open up people's minds, and I think that's a possibility. So efficacy is interesting. When you use folklore in the cause of contesting something, what are the layers of efficacy? What can you actually accomplish? At the very least, as he says, you can show that there is opposition. The opposition lives, even in a situation where the other side has a lot of the has the best cards, let's say, but you can still show that opposition is alive. So those are interesting components, features of the Peddlety article or chapter that certainly popped up in my mind. Well, I just want to move towards closure here, and once again, just remind of the 5 key concepts that we're working with here. Of course, we focus on civic action devoted to ameliorative projects, that is, projects that improve situations in this time of ecological precarity. So we certainly see that with the trek through the swamp there, down the long stretch of the drainage of the Mississippi, and how this can be used as an experience that will be meaningful and will really open up a kind of new consciousness in some of those young people. And of course, with Peddlety, we see this this project aimed at changing the nature of the soundscape there out in Washington. That was the first point. The second point, folklorists and ethnomusicologists bring to this battle a valuable set of insights and tools, and I think we can see some of that in action here, both of those case studies. The third one, folklorists and others who do participant observation are there on the ground in human communities, and we certainly see that, and the value of having that grounding and not talking in the abstract, but really talking about specific people, specific places, and really understanding those dynamics. The fourth point, we highlight the ineffable power of art, especially community-based popular arts, and a lot of you like that ineffable power of art, and art is amazing, what art can do in human communities, how it reaches us and transforms us. That is something that I think we've all experienced in one way or another. And then finally, the fifth one, we see our role as educators as potentially a transformative role, and certainly with Peddlety's engagement as a scholar, critic, and creator, we see him really entering into what he hopes will be a transformative process. Okay, people, well, those are the main things that I wanted to communicate to you today as we come towards the second segment of week number 12 here, Performing Interventions. And, I'll be taking my leave for now. As always, I remind you to put up those good commentaries, those thoughtful pieces of ideas and reactions that you have. I've been enjoying those, and as you see, I've been responding to them, trying to engage with your ideas and connect with them with my own ideas. And one other thing I want to mention, and actually this was Pat. Hey Pat, a shout out to Pat.
Hey.
Yes, Pat's here, holding that steady hand on the camera. And that is, I'm not doing office hours, but I want to make myself available. If anybody wants to FaceTime with me, I can actually do FaceTime. So if you're interested in having a little chat with me, just drop me a line by Canvas mail or by email. Let me know you're interested and suggest, kind of a time frame. I'll get back to you and we'll set up an appointment and we can have a FaceTime conversation. Well, people, that's it for now. A couple things will be coming your way, as I mentioned. I'll be back in touch with you on Monday where we take up week 13. We'll be moving on into a new section of the class. Okay, so long for now.